Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel, Two Brothers Outdoors. Tim will be along in a few minutes. This is attempt number 2 to put a belt on the wheel of my saw. When I replaced the shaft on the wheel, I took the broken shaft up to Hud-son when we were up there doing the tour. And they suggested that I put a new belt on it, and even suggested that maybe a black belt would be better. But I don't like to change things when they're not broke. But last night, you saw the belt was coming out of the pulley. Something's wrong with the belt that's in it. So we got a new belt this morning. I ordered it last night. I wanted a Gates belt, a B56. I was assured by the auto parts store, number 4 that I called, that it would be a Gates belt B56. Well, guess what? That is not a Gates belt. It is the auto parts store's brand. I'm not going to mention the store, but if it fits, I guess it'll be all right. If it doesn't fit, it's going back. So the first thing I did was I got the belt inside the cage here, inside the part where the wheel is. And then I put the bearing up with the bolts in it so that the wheel is somewhat straight. All right, now we're going to see if we can get this belt on the wheel. And from what I read, they go on very hard. So let's see what happens. So this belt is substantially tighter than the other one, of course. So the first thing I did was I put a C-clamp on the belt to hold it in place here. I'm going to roll the belt up this way. I put soap on the belt and on the edge of the pulley to try to lubricate it a little bit like you would a tire when you're putting a tire on a rim. I can tell you right now, guys, this thing is a challenge to put on. As I slide the belt onto the pulley, I'm putting C-clamps on it to hold it in place. You can't roll it in with a screwdriver because it twists the belt. So what you got to do is you kind of pry up on it and then tap it over with a hammer to get it in. We're getting it, but I tell you what, this is one tight belt. An extra set of hands would come in handy about now too. Okay, well, prying up on the belt like this with a bar as you're going along, trying to keep this stupid wood from falling over. Just trying to show you for demonstration here. Prying it up like this as you're going along and pushing the belt over seemed to do the trick. It flopped right on after we got close enough, so it's on. I'll take the C-clamps off and we'll see what it looks like. Well, belt's on. And looking at it, it's a Dayco belt, which if I'm not wrong, I think Dayco is the belt that John at Hud-son suggested I use as Dayco. I'm kind of like partial to Gates belts, but the belt sits up above the pulley like it's supposed to. Has a nice edge above it. I think once we put the blade on, roll it around a couple times, I think the belt will push down in there nicely. Got little bumps in it here and there right now, but I think the belt just needs to seat. All right, let's put the blade on and see what we got. One other thing I want to mention real quick in this process. Couldn't keep the mill from rolling backwards away from me as I'm trying to get this belt on. So I clamped a pair of vice grips on the track to keep the mill from going backwards. That helped as well. All right, blade's on. I'm going to torque it up a little bit, tension the blade, and then I'm going to tighten these 1/2-inch bolts in the wheel. See how it's tracking and see if this belt levels out. All right, so we got the bearing tight. The blade is tensioned. We'll start this up, let it roll a little bit, make sure it's tracking okay, and then make sure the belt levels out. Doesn't have any bumps in it. Started out a little bumpy. Starting to work its way in now. held the seat in a little bit. I'll recheck the tension here in a minute. Yeah, it's starting to level out now. It was kind of bumpy there when I first started. Okay, so I'm thinking we'll toe board it up, start thin on this end. Of course, it's going to be thicker on this end. If the board doesn't continue to warp, if it takes the stress out, then maybe we'll get some decent cuts from that point on. Might be the wrong thing to do. We're going to try it. If you guys that have sawn a lot more stuff than I have as far as on a band mill goes, if you got any ideas where we're doing it wrong, put that comment down there before we saw this and see how it makes out. We're not going to see the comment till we're done, but this is a learning process for us on the band mill. All right, guys, let's try it, see what happens. The worst thing that can happen is we end up with nothing.
Eighth son.
All right, so what did we come up with?
All right, so we got the stress out of it.
Yep.
The board that we cut.
Holy
look
cow.
how thin it is here. But, yeah, you can see, look how thick it is in the middle.
Yeah.
That's the amount of stress that was in this quarter piece of log. I tell you what, that is ridiculous. Let me get tape measure. That's interesting right there.
Yep.
All right, so we're 1/2 inch at the end. The middle looks like it's thickest right here. That's 1 3/4 inches.
Wow.
And at this end, 1.5 inches.
Wow. How in the heck?
That's the amount of stress that was in that.
So that's what was making that board go like
Yes.
the log go bow.
Well, the board actually, the piece of log actually moved as we cut it off the log.
Huh.
It's stress. And I'm surprised a base log has that much stress in it.
Well, you gotta remember these trees are whipped around quite a bit up here.
Yeah, I know.
You get a lot of wind.
All right. Well,
Try another one?
That's that.
Let's try another one. All right, so where we go from here?
All right, so now we're going to have to flop it over this way.
Yep. Hang on. Okay.
Slide it back over. Yep, we got the stress out of it. It's straight.
Oh, look at that. Got
All
a little
right,
bit of
so we're
spalting in it.
Yep, we're going to continue sawing it like this. This way, flop it. This way, flop it. Right from the bottom. And make sure my toe board is down all the way. We don't want that getting involved.
Still got a little stress that way.
No, we're good.
Okay.
I'll just lock the dog into it just to be sure it don't move.
All right.
That new scale working out? Staying right in place, doing a great job.
Good.
That is a nice idea Hudson came up with. And that can be used on anybody's mill. Any manufacturer doesn't have the quarter scale, that can be stuck on that scale. As long as it's metal. It's not aluminum.
It looks like same thickness all the way through. So we're gonna get one more piece out of that probably? Probably gonna get one more out of that?
Probably one more each way.
Alright, so we just avoided a major uh-oh with that one. to the nitty gritty.
Okay, so if you can see the end grain on this, the end grain is running quartern. This is a little more of a riff cut than it is a quarter sawn cut. But if you look at this grain right here, for this lousy log, it's running pretty straight.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
So that's the strongest part of the...
Well, it's the strongest way to saw it. They make hand railings for stairs. They make ladders. Old wooden ladders were made out of quarter sawn. You get some fine.
So this is like for what furniture builders want, right?
Yes,
quarter
this
sawn.
is also furniture builders would prefer quarter sawn for their uprights and stuff in their,
Gotcha.
in their furniture.
Because of the strength.
Because of the strength.
You could probably narrate right over that.
That's what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
All right, we're going to have to cut these.
I'm still taping.
We're going to have to cut these flitches, get the bark off of them.
Oh, I see what you're doing. You're going to step them.
So what I'm doing is I'm stacking them up in steps, and as we cut the first one, we'll take it out of the way, do the next one, and it goes down the steps. So that'll be pretty good. Because each one's a little wider than the other.
Now that one's the no good one.
Well, it's no good right now, but somebody may be willing to pay a little bit for it and run it through a planer.
You got to plane that one down. Or they can use that for a wedge. Look at that. It looks like a wedge.
You can get 6 foot of 1 inch out of it.
We could put a wedge on that one.
So we'll save it. We don't throw anything away.
I do. You don't. Looks like last cut, guys.
Okay, guys, this is what we got out of 1/4 of that log. So that was the smallest quarter, I think. Yeah. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they range from 6 inches wide down to 2 inches wide. But it's all quarter sawn. There's knots in it. Base log, there shouldn't be any knots, but there is. But we will advertise it, see what happens. It's definitely quarter sawn. The grain is about as straight as it can be for this log that was not center with the pith. All right. So we got the one that's screwed up. We'll throw that in with the pile. And then we got 3 more quarters to saw up here. We are not going to saw them up today. It's opening day of deer season. We have a interview tonight we're going to do. And with Carnivore Outdoors, if you don't catch that interview.
Way past that.
I know, we're way past it. If you didn't catch it, You can sure.
Sorry, guys, we're about a month and a half ahead on our videos.
We're not that far ahead. But if you missed the interview with Carnivore Outdoors, you'll be able to catch it on our channel.
Yep.
And watch it. Okay, so that's how you quarter saw a log, true quarter saw a log on a band mill. The log did not cooperate with us. I think if we had a nice straight hard maple or an oak or an ash.
Hard maple would probably been the best.
Or an ash, yeah. We very, very seldom find any stress in a hard maple. All right, guys. Thanks for coming along.
So how's the belt doing?
The belt seems to be doing all right. It's seated in. It's not vibrating.
Okay.
I think we're going to be fine. That's a Daco belt. I think that's what John suggested I use anyway. It was a Daco. I put a lot of faith in Gates belts, too. Don't ask me why, but I've used them my whole life.
That's what I got.
All right, so we're going to move a couple logs over to your mill for the box. Need to cut some slabs up for the box for the new buyer.
Yep.
And then we're going hunting.
Yep.
For a few hours anyway.
Yep.
Black powder.
Yep.
Oh, boom.
Cap and ball.
Cap and ball. Mine's been loaded for 2 years.
Mine too.
I don't know if it's going to go off.
It goes off.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming along. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the notifications bell. And if you're not a subscriber to our channel,
Please subscribe.
hit that subscription button. You'll be glad you did. We'll be glad you did. Until the next one, we will catch you later.